All right. Hello and welcome everyone to the Loyola Career Services Workshop, What to Do After a Career Fair. I'd like to start off by saying this presentation was put together by two of our undergraduate advisors, Edith and Ashley. I'm Ashley. I work with a bunch of the arts, culture, and media interests, while my colleague Edith works for marketing, advertising, and PR related interests. We're not the only two that are here to support you, though. There are 11 undergraduate career communities and 3 graduate career communities, and each community is headed by a different advisor. So you don't need to be of a particular major to meet with any of us. We're based on interest. So we're here to help you regardless of what you want to do after college. And if you're not sure who to start with, pick somebody first. We can even point you in a different direction if somebody else's expertise might be a better fit. And for some of you, you might have seen Edith and I hanging out at the Ask an Advisor table at our most recent career fair this fall, the Business Opportunities Fair Day 2. So, what are we going to talk about today? Well, the goal of this workshop is to ensure that your experiences at a career fair aren't just like a one and done thing, right? That this is not just a singular event, but that you can incorporate what you learn and build on the types of resources you are getting out of a career fair. So, we're going to talk a little bit about what you could do immediately after the career fair, kind of your first steps. We're going to talk about the things that you should do next, kind of second steps or next steps, the things you should be doing to kind of follow up in the days or weeks following a career fair, just while things are fresh on your mind. And then we're going to talk about as time goes on. So these are going to be steps you could take weeks to months, potentially even years down the line in order to keep those networking connections that you started at a career fair fresh. This part of the presentation is being recorded. We're going to also have a Q&A that takes place afterwards that will not be recorded. If you do have questions, though, and you aren't watching this live, you are, of course, welcome to reach out to Career Services, set up an appointment. We'd be happy to meet with you and talk through some of these things. I also want to say, just because we're talking about a career fair doesn't mean that this kind of strategy, these tools, techniques, resources don't also work for other types of networking events. So if you go to some of our career tours, if you meet with somebody over lunch and want to learn more, if you're going to faculty office hours to get to know them better, or maybe even you have a speaker come to one of your classes, adapt some of these, but they will work well for other networking too. So let's jump right in. What should you be doing immediately following a career fair? Well, while it's fresh on your mind, write down everything that you can remember, right? Who you met, the companies you saw, what you remember about them. If you have their contact information, that probably is one of the most important things. Sometimes at career fairs, you might pick up information pamphlets or business cards, jot all that down, bring it all into one area. Ultimately, you're trying to keep all these tangible things you learned and have them somewhere useful. Also, though, let's write a little bit about some of those less tangible things. How did it feel to go to the career fair? Was this your first one? In what ways did attending this event go exactly as you had hoped? Did anything unexpected happen or surprise you? And ultimately, did you get out of the experience what you had hoped? If not, let's figure out how potentially maybe other action steps or a pivot you could take that might get at the information or thing that you needed by attending this fair. You're also going to probably be a little bit more visible online. If you went to one of these fairs and scanned that QR code at the employer table, they're going to get those handshake profiles, right? A list of the students who stopped by their table. But even not, if you follow up with an employer, they might check you out on Handshake or LinkedIn. People might also just be searching for you more as you're networking more. So let's make sure these things are up to date. The 4 things listed here are the steps I want you to take in order just to get like your online presence a little bit refreshed. So in Handshake, make sure your profile is up to date, your career interests are up to date, and you have an uploaded resume that is set to visible or public, right? We want employers to be able to see it when they are viewing your page. Both the profile and career interests, though, can also help you in your job search. This is part of what Handshake uses to determine that relevancy feature that it shows you when you're first in the job board. So some of these things we're doing can also just optimize your search, right? For your LinkedIn profile, you are far more likely to have your connection request accepted if you have a profile picture, if you have some basic information about yourself, you look more like a real person, right? So let's get these things aligned with what you want, up to date, and also completed. Yeah. If you took advantage of our headshot booth at one of the career fairs, our office should be emailing you a link for you to find your photo, download it, and be able to upload it both to your Handshake account and to LinkedIn. If you didn't get one of the headshots, but you would like one, you can come to any of our future career fairs. Usually the photo booth is set up for the first two-thirds of the fair, right? We want to make sure everyone who might be in line for it gets their photo by the time the event ends. So swing on by one of our future career fairs if you'd like to take advantage of that. So we've got all the immediate stuff out of the way, right? We've got our online presence updated. We've jotted down all the information we learned. We're keeping things fresh on our mind. Let's actually start building some of these connections. So you can reach out and essentially make connections with two different types of things, people and organizations. For the people you met, like those recruiters who were there at the table, you could email them a short thank you note. You could follow up with additional questions you had. You could connect with them on LinkedIn, right? Making these networking connections helps make a good impression. It keeps that channel open for future questions, right? If you have their email live right there or you're connected on LinkedIn. And if you end up applying to something later and let them know that, that can also help your application stand out in a good way, right? You're demonstrating interest, you're demonstrating engagement, you're demonstrating professionalism, all without needing to kind of go above and beyond. You're already laying the groundwork for that. In terms of connecting with companies, you can follow them on Handshake and LinkedIn. What this does is means you'll be notified of new positions that they post. It's also going to signal your interest in the company, right? The same reason you might be reaching out to recruiters, showing that engagement. And for LinkedIn, if you are following certain employers, you're going to have suggestions for other employers you may want to look at. This can be really beneficial for your own career development because it's not just one company that is a potentially really great fit for you. If you really like a company, let's see if there are companies like that that might offer you even more job opportunities that could be a really great match. So use the network to your advantage, help find similar connection points, continue to keep these new branches you're cultivating growing. The thing I said on the last slide, though, the sending the thank you email, a lot of folks aren't really sure what to put in that, or they're not sure what tone to strike. I'm going to show you an example one, but here's a format that you could use if you need a little bit of help getting started with a structure, right? So having a subject line, something like LUC Career Fair, thank you. If you just went to one of them and you want to follow up. Dear recruiter's name, thank you for, or using that first sentence or two just to jog their memory about who you are or where they might have met you. And then some information about what you either need from them, want from them, have done based on their information, right? Just kind of keeping those next steps going and then signing off with some sort of professional signature. The goal is to keep it short, friendly, direct, professional, right? You do not need to write a 5-paragraph essay. A couple sentences is going to serve you well. So this is one example of what it could look like. And I've used my supervisor's name, Catherine. This is a fake company. This is obviously a fake LinkedIn page for me. But you can read through and see it's a fairly short email. I'm thanking her for meeting me at this career fair and what she did for me. I learned a little bit more, right? And then I let her know that I'm planning to apply to the internship. This is a signal for her to be on the lookout for that application, possibly flag it, and it helps my resume move up to the top of the pile. So again, making a good impression, helping my resume stay more visible, and potentially, again, demonstrating that enthusiasm and professionalism. So that's all great in the moment. You can still send those types of emails later on down the line. Staying connected with recruiters means circling back as questions come up or as you're taking steps to apply. Maybe you went to one of the fall career fairs, but you're actually looking for a summer internship, or you were a first year or sophomore and you're not quite ready to do an internship yet. All right. I met you at last year's career fair and I saw that there are new internships open for this summer. I would love to hear a little bit of advice, or I want to thank you for meeting with me last year. I'm very interested in applying, right? You can always circle back. It also keeps those connections alive and it keeps those channels open. For those companies, you can kind of passively keep an eye on what's going on their LinkedIn news. Once you're following them, the stuff that the company is posting about is going to show up in your feed, allowing you to kind of keep tabs on things like industry trends, who's hiring, what kinds of jobs that they're offering, and keeping yourself informed about what's going on in the world of work for the areas that you're looking at can really benefit you, both in terms of a cover letter, but also in an interview setting. So you're boosting your career knowledge by staying connected with these companies and just kind of keeping a tab on what's going on. You can also use what you learned at something like a career fair to plan your next steps, right? Whether you got what you needed to out of this past event or not, have you identified what is the next piece of information you need? And potentially, it might be going to more career fairs, continuing to practice those networking skills, reaching out to different types of companies so that you can compare and contrast what you were learning. You might consider doing a career tour. Career tours at Loyola are an opportunity for you as students to go to an employer's site and get to see them in their work setting, talk with people who are there, and learn about the careers and career trajectories that are available, right? You can also go to additional career services workshop, but there's a lot of different ways you can meet professionals from your industry. Think about going to more career events. It might be community based. It might be something your department is doing. You could go on Loyola Linked and meet and connect with and chat with fellow alumni. You can go to your faculty's office hours and hear about what they might have been up to in their professional lives or students they've had in the past and what they're working on. And of course, you can connect with alumni and rather even not just alumni, but professionals across different educational backgrounds through joining different LinkedIn groups, making more connections, right? The more connections you have, the more people become visible to you on LinkedIn. If there's somebody who has a lot of great information that you want to dig into in a little bit more depth, consider doing an informational interview. This is just a fancy career advising title for I want to sit down with you and I have a list of questions about your career, your any advice you can give me, the industry. It's a formalized way to learn about somebody's career and career trajectory. If you're interested in doing informational interviews, this can be one of the most powerful networking and career exploration tools you can utilize. We have some resources available for them in Handshake. Go into Career Center, into resources, just type informational interview or interview into the search bar, and some resources will pop up. Love to talk with you all more about that if you have any ideas or need help getting started. And lastly, some of the things you learned at a career fair or event might be, ooh, I have a gap in skills, or I was hearing it was really important to do volunteering, or it was really important to do an internship or to have some sort of work experience, or maybe a particular skill. They're looking for a video editor who has proficiency in this platform, this platform, and this platform. Awesome. Use your time in college to add more things to your resume so you can build skills and experience through things like volunteering, active involvement in student organizations, part-time work, work study positions, internships, independent projects or classroom projects. These are some of the most common things you can think about, but think about applied actions, applied work, engaged learning types of activities that can help you build skills, demonstrate interest, and engage in the field you're looking to join. So let's recap. How do I network? How do I build on the stuff that I might have started in a career fair? Well, first and foremost, write down everything you can remember, record all of that so it doesn't go away on you. Refresh your online presence because you know people are going to be looking at those profiles if you're starting to reach out to people. Later on down the line, whether that's a couple hours after the event or a couple weeks, you can connect with those recruiters, right? Use that recency and keep yourself fresh on their minds through following up with a thank you or additional questions or advice. You can follow employers on both Handshake and LinkedIn. And as time goes on, as you're trying to keep those connections strong or re-energize them, right, as you're starting to shift into a new area of your career development, utilizing these new branches to expand your network, find more connections, learn about companies, and of course, like circle back to them as you have more questions or need advice. It is totally normal to reach back out to folks. You are not bothering anybody. And as long as, again, you're keeping your outreach professional, short, clean, friendly, you're making that really good impression that's going to help you long term. So, if you are noticing your stress levels coming up a little bit, right? Like networking is a skill that you can build like any other, but when you're new at a skill, it can be a little intimidating. Let's talk, right? Services is here to help you with these kinds of things. We have offices both at the Lakeshore campus and at the Water Tower campus, and we're available to meet virtually with you. You can go on to Handshake, which is that big old QR code on the screen right now, to sign up for an appointment. We're also here over most academic breaks as well. So when things are a little bit quieter on your end or you're starting to gear up for next semester, check in with us. We're happy to help. What that's going to look like when you're on Handshake, right, is click on Career Center, click on Appointments, and then a series of prompts are going to help guide you through the type of appointment and connecting with the advisor that's going to best serve your interests. So thank you so much for joining us live today. I'm really glad you could be here to learn a little bit more about networking and how to follow up and build on the experiences of going to a career fair. And as a gentle reminder, these tips can also be used for other types of networking events as well.